This was supposed to be a fun month of boondocking in the Arizona desert. We had just completed that huge solar project. We'd gotten settled in Quartzsite. We were having a great time, and in a matter of minutes, everything changed.
It went from enjoying a campfire to going to the emergency room to a helicopter flight, all in the middle of the night.
None of this was what we expected this year.
If you've been following along, you saw that we were rushing to get our solar system installed on the RV so we can get out to Quartzsite and do some boondocking.
The plan was going to be to come out here and hang out for a while. We were going to boondock in some of the areas that we had not really spent a lot of time in.
And that's what makes what happened so jarring.
We were having a really good time in Quartzsite. Also, we were working really hard on getting video done, and the RV show had just finished, and we were finally going to get to relax. I had just finished editing the second video of the solar install and really felt like celebrating that night.
So we went out enjoying the nightly campfire.
And like I said, I really wanted to relax. I had been on medication because we were both sick. This was the first night I was going to be able to have a glass of wine, but I never got that glass of wine. I did, however, get a marshmallow on the end of a stick, turned around, caught my foot in a strap that was on the back of somebody's chair, and landed face first in the desert.
Yeah, it was actually right behind me and another person, so I actually heard Linda hit the ground. It was a pretty loud thud. I immediately jumped up. Friends of ours jumped up too. There's another friend that we have that was actually a nurse. She immediately came over and we started assessing what was going on with Linda. And what we saw wasn't really good.
When I landed face first of all, I never lost consciousness. I made a mental note of that. While I was laying face down, I was kind of assessing myself. I was checking, oh good, my eyes, my glasses are here, my eyes are okay. I thought my teeth could have gone through my lips because this is where I hit, where this bruise is. That didn't happen. I didn't break my jaw. I did have some other issues that came up when the next part happened.
Right. So basically what we did is a couple friends of ours went and grabbed ice. So they brought ice over and we immediately put it on her jaw because that swelled up pretty quick. And then another friend of ours who was at the campfire realized that we thought that the lens on Linda's glasses had cracked. It was basically a scratch, but the frame had cracked. And he immediately went over, glued the frame, and put a rubber band around it to keep it steady so it would cure. And then we managed to get Linda to sit up and then kind of let her sit there for a minute. And then because our friend of ours was a nurse, she knew that Linda was on blood thinners, and she thought it was very important that we got her to the emergency room to get her checked out, just in case, because we didn't want to make sure there wasn't anything major going on.
So that emergency room, when you're camping out in Quartzsite, Arizona, is either Phoenix, 2.5 hours away, Yuma, about an hour and a half to 2 hours away, or Parker, Arizona, 40 miles away. So that's where we decided to go.
We got Linda ready. I actually pulled the car right next to the campfire, put her in the car, had to get Dexter in the car because we couldn't leave him in the RV because we didn't know how long we were going to be gone. I immediately took off because I had numerous people ask me, why didn't you call an ambulance? Well, for one thing, it would have taken how long for an ambulance to get out to where we are?
To find us.
And then good luck trying to find us because there is no roads to where we were actually camped. We're kind of out in the middle of the desert there, so it's kind of hard to figure out where someone is. So to me, it just made more sense. Get her in the car and immediately get her to Parker. So that's what we ended up doing.
So we got to Parker. When I told them what happened, Jamie parked the car. I told them what happened. They told Jamie just to hang out for a minute while they decided what was going to go on next. And I was totally coherent the whole time, and I remembered every second of what happened, including knowing that my foot caught in something soft, not something hard like a rock or part of a chair. So I really was coherent and very thankful that I could remember every second.
Right. They called me back and then wanted to know what her prescriptions were. So we gave them the full list of all of her prescriptions. Meanwhile, they took Linda in, did a bunch of scans, And then after she was done with the scans, they brought her back in. Basically, they also checked her blood pressure. So her blood pressure was up a little bit. Wasn't too bad. And then after the doctor looked at the scans, he determined that she needed to be...
That I had a brain bleed.
She had a brain
right
bleed
here.
in the front up here, and determined that she needed to go to the hospital via helicopter because it would take too long to drive somewhere. They basically said they wanted to send her to Las Vegas. So the doctor was really firm that she needed to be airlifted to Vegas because that hospital was set up to be able to handle the situation that she was in.
The kind of trauma. And immediately when I heard helicopter, and I had a feeling when everyone came in the room, that's what they were going to say, because I worked at a hospital for 30 years, and I immediately lost it, because I did not want to go on a helicopter. I've never wanted to go on a helicopter. When I was on a video crew and I produced a video that required a helicopter, I had no interest in getting on the helicopter.
Yeah, needless to say, when they told her she was going to go on a helicopter, they looked at her blood pressure, went from like 140 over 89 to 169 over 100. That's how quickly it immediately went up because of how stressed out she was about being on a helicopter.
So I was worried that I would be nauseous, that I would be throwing up. Again, not because I had a concussion. They said I did not have a concussion that they could see, but the brain bleed was serious because I was on blood thinners. And so I needed to go. They tried to assure me over and over that the helicopter crew would make me really comfortable and it would be fine. The helicopter crew got there really, really fast. It seems like right after that, I think they did one more scan to see if this wrist was fractured, because I was starting to bruise on my palms and where I was holding the marshmallow stick and where I was holding my phone. So I held on to everything. I put my hands out when I fell. That was all good to know, that I didn't just go boom without trying to stop myself. Right. And even my knee, and it's still pretty swollen.
The helicopter crew got there. One of the guys who actually stays at the hospital and helps the helicopter crew come in, he basically came in and started telling me everything that was going to happen.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
And basically what I told him is, I said, she is really scared about being in a helicopter. And he says, don't worry about that. We deal with that all the time. We're going to give her some medication that's going to, basically, she's not going to care about anything.
But it wasn't like that. It wasn't that bad. I guess they monitored how much.
He told me it was going to make it so you didn't care.
So that I wasn't upset.
You weren't so stressed out about the helicopter, and it wasn't going to be a big...
But they immediately gave me something to get my blood pressure down.
So she came, rechecked it again. They basically gave her something that, within a minute, it knocked it back down to a normal range.
So then they started giving me some medication for nausea and medication. I don't remember exactly what med, but they were giving that to me to calm me down. Somebody said, this is the best night to go on a helicopter because there's no wind at all. The night before was a balloon fiesta in Lake Havasu, and it was all canceled because of the wind. So that was what was in my head. Fast forward, helicopter. Right?
Well, what they did was they moved her from the bed that she was on onto this portable gurney. Strapped her all in with all these, looks like seatbelt buckles, and they buckled her all in, got her comfortable. They said don't take anything but her cell phone and her charger so she could communicate with me. The pilot came in, reassured her about everything.
Except he added that it wasn't a 45-minute flight, it was an hour and 15-minute flight.
Hour and 15 minutes. Could tell they knew exactly what they were doing.
Dexter was still in the car.
At this
point, it was what, like 1 o'clock in the morning?
It was about 1 o'clock in the morning. They rolled her out to where the helicopter was, and I was walking Dexter around because I knew he probably had to go, so I let him do his thing and then noticed where the helicopter was, and then kind of walked over as close as I could. So the lights around the helicopter were all red, and then you could see the helicopter just firing up, getting everything going, they're communicating. And then all of a sudden I see the lights around the helicopter turn green, and then all of a sudden you can really hear the engines kick in, and gradually it lifted off. And
they told me the only bumps I was going to feel was right when we took off. It would kind of go like that, which it did. I had a front row seat. The medical team sat behind me, the pilot next to me with night vision goggles, but they weren't like what I expected. They were like a bunch of copper or brass tubes Like, and I watched him. The Ativan, I guess, was working at that point, so I was just interested in the whole thing at that point. And then it was really smooth. We went up the Colorado River, over Lake Havasu. I could see all the lights. My glasses were broken. I didn't have my glasses, so I couldn't really focus. So it looked like a bunch of lit up grapes down below. But I knew where we were. I knew that was Lake Havasu. And then we went across like Kingman and over to Vegas. You saw us flying away.
Well, I saw it when she took off. I saw her take off and then gradually just kind of go off into the darkness where I couldn't see the helicopter any longer.
It really was smooth. Everyone was really professional. My fear was subsided. We got to Vegas. I recognized as we came down over Vegas, and wasn't sure where the hospital was, but we were right near the stratosphere, and we were lower than the stratosphere. I remember making a note of all these kinds of things. The helicopter kind of hovered for a little while. I don't know if there was another chopper on the pad that they were waiting to leave. I doubt it, because he was pretty close to where we ended up being. But they made 3 circles around the hospital, so I kind of had a nice view of Las Vegas and the Strip and everything as we went around. Then we landed. The ICU team met us there at the helicopter. The helicopter crew took me into the hospital. They immediately sent me. They wanted another couple scans to look at this bleed.
In the meantime, once she was gone, I loaded Dexter up in the car, drove all the way back to Quartzsite. By the time I got to Quartzsite, it was close to 3 o'clock in the morning. And my adrenaline was all up. So what I ended up doing is I started packing up everything on the inside that I could pack up that I didn't need. By the time I went to sleep was about 3:45 in the morning. A friend of ours who were right in front of where we were camping, he basically sent me a text about 8 in the morning.
But that was good, because you needed to get on the road.
Correct. He woke me up, asked me if I needed any help getting everything tore down to be able to take off. We had the dog fence for Dexter, so we ended up taking that down, putting that away.
Who put that away for you?
Well, Jim and Nate both helped me tear that down, get it all bundled up the way it was supposed to be bundled up, put it away. They helped me put away the chairs and all that stuff. And then Jim helped me hook up the car. I got the car all hooked up. He checked to make sure all the signals were working and all that kind of stuff. And then I basically said goodbye to everybody and then hit the road. Where we ended up in Vegas was a place we had stayed before. So I had called them the first thing in the next morning before I left Quartzsite and said, hey, we've stayed there before. I need to get a few nights because my wife's in the hospital. Can you fix me up? I asked for a pull-through site. Once I had everything set up at the campsite, I basically went over to the hospital to see Linda. Now, when she left in the helicopter, I was pretty upset. One, because what they told me had happened, and then 2, I think her stress about the helicopter kind of rubbed off on me, so I was pretty upset about that. Then when I got to the hospital, I got there, and now you could see all the bruising on her face, down in her neck, and then I didn't notice, but she had bruising up above her eye up here. And you could see the swelling in her knee and all that kind of stuff. So it was pretty upsetting seeing the extent of what happened. You know, when we were initially there in Quartzsite, I thought, it's not a big deal. She just fell. It's not a big deal. But then once we got to Parker, no, that's not what happened. It's a lot more serious than we thought it was. So,
which thankfully Patty was a nurse and told us no, with the medications that I was on. Because I had a stroke 2 years ago, that it was really important that we get scans of my head, since she could see these bruises starting already right here, and that's where the brain bleed was. But so he came to the hospital. It didn't really show on your face. You acted pretty flat-faced.
Well, I was flat-faced because I had like 4 hours of sleep and was incomplete.
And drove 5 hours.
Drove 4.5 hours and set up the RV and everything, and I was pretty well exhausted.
It's a really good trauma center. The doctors were really good. After the first night, they just wanted to monitor me for another 24 hours. A team of doctors came in to talk to me in the morning. I assumed that this was a doctor and maybe interns, but later They started physical therapy and occupational therapy right away, and one of those therapists said that no, that was a whole team of neurology doctors, and so she was concerned to be able what I was going to be able to do or not do. Luckily, I was able to do pretty much everything. My knee was really, really hurting, and my hands were starting to hurt. They did x-ray my hands still while I was at Parker, and there was no fractures. I do have a fracture on my nose right here. Those doctors told me that's something that a specialist will have to look at later when we get back to New Mexico. But otherwise, they just said I needed to go back to the RV was fine and rest. They told you we didn't need to.
Well, a doctor came in because Linda wanted to clarify the medications that they had given her. So he went through all the medications with her, and then I asked him, I said, so should we head back home? No, you don't necessarily have to go home.
And I actually felt better. I wanted to stay here in Las Vegas near that hospital. And the fact that we had friends here and some support system here was good too.
Yeah, I mean, we have good friends who live in Vegas. They said, you need anything, just let us know. Once the doctor said that and we decided, hey, we want to hang out here a little bit more, I actually went up to the front office and added a few more days onto our stay. And they managed to accommodate us. And then
the Las Vegas Oasis RV Resort has a really good senior rate. There, they also take Passport America, so we were pretty okay with that. Right now, we were worrying about finances because we didn't know if that helicopter flight, we just heard so many horror stories, and followers of our channel, as they were seeing stuff I was posting, started saying, gee, I hope that helicopter flight is covered.
Yeah, because
so we still don't know.
Cheap.
We still don't know. The doctor insisted that this is what we had to do, that we did not have time with a brain bleed to drive for several hours. So hopefully we won't have to fight with insurance about it, but
right,
we will see. So after resting for a few days, I wanted to kind of test what I was able to do. I had a walker, so I wasn't sure how I was going to maneuver that. They helped me to kind of practice with how I would get in and out of the RV, made sure I had a stool at the base of the bed, at the base of the stairs going out of the motorhome. But it was time now, after I rested for a few days, we then wanted to see what I could do.
Right.
And so our friend Richie invited us to come watch him do some of the training that he does up at the trapeze and bungee school for the circus acts in town, right?
Right. He comes from him and his wife both come from circus families, and their family is very famous for trapeze and all that kind of stuff.
If you ever went to Ringling Brothers Circus in the late 70s through the 80s, you saw the flying Ganoas.
Correct. While we're in Vegas, we ended up going to a couple of the restaurants that we've gone to with Richie and Raquel that we really enjoy, and just to get some normalcy back in our life. So we just kind of went out and had some good meals and some good comfort food.
Yeah, and it just felt good to be close to that hospital because I was still really, really scared. Once it was clear that I was improving, we had to decide where we were going to go for me to continue to recover.
And that's what we're going to be sharing with you on the next episode.
Because sometimes RV life takes a turn you never saw coming.
If you like this video, we'd really appreciate it if you'd share it with your friends and family on social media. And if you're not yet a subscriber, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
And do ring that bell, because that way you'll be notified whenever we upload new content.
And make sure to leave a comment, that way you could be part of the conversation.
Until next time.
We'll see you.
We'll see ya. That's a wrap, roamers. If these adventures and tips are keeping you inspired, subscribe and watch another one. Your next RV tip or destination is just a click away.